Right now, this is door Hoima Akasha. That's door like front door. Maybe we've met before. Well, this is the next business plan that connects with Akashique Agro Canadian Community Culture Farms. Akashique Agro Farms. Akashique Agro Farm. We can call it that in short. One business idea I didn't mention in the first business plan talking about the farm is that we'll have a compost management / bug protein production, because people are going to be looking for alternate sources of protein, and a lot of the animals on the farm will be utilizing, they're going to need protein, like the fish farm. So we'll be farming worms, but I've had this plan for years that we are going to farm a special bug I call compost bug. Compost bug is a special bug because it has the ability to digest a lot of different materials. I'm not sure about the research. I didn't do too much research on this bug, but I wouldn't be surprised if this bug can digest moist cardboard, break it down in its digestive system, and turn it into protein, where you can use this bug, cultivate it for raw protein, or cultivate that bug to feed certain types of livestock, like our chickens. I didn't mention on the previous business plan that, because I was only talking about the main big house, but we'll also be farming chickens, pheasants if we can, and quail for sure. Later on, once the farm gets bigger and better, we can have hobby type birds and also have duck for duck eggs and such like that. Have certain things going on, domestic / local, whatever we're allowed to. But one main business we'll have running is we'll have a compost management, where we'll be managing all of our own compost, and we're likely to be able to manage compost from outside of our farmland. If people need it, we'll try that business as well, because we'll take that compost to enrich our land to produce more food. And for one, earthworms are good changing compost that the chickens won't eat. But then the compost bugs that I'm talking about, they'll take care of the rest and turn it all into protein. And then we keep those bugs clean, take care of them, keep these bugs healthy, and have a cultivation system by utilizing new bug farming systems and old. Either way, it should be very lucrative, and even if it only breaks even, it's still good, because the same farmland will be running other businesses that will be lucrative. So it's like a permaculture business to itself. Canadian community culture. Canadian culture community. Yeah, Canadian culture community. So that's why you'd run multiple businesses on the farmland and run multiple workstations going on at the same time. so that the whole thing, everything will take care of each other. Like, all of the parts will take care of each other. So while we're managing the compost and getting rid of the compost, we'll be farming compost bugs to produce raw protein for our livestock, for catch and cook, and for producing food for the market and for food for the community on the farmland. The people living on the farmland can save a lot because the more they eat local, the less they'll be spending as well. So the compost bug that I'm talking about is a bug that we'll do some research on before I give it away what I believe that bug would be. But it's a very popular bug that everyone knows, and we used to consider it a pest. Well, according to my calculations, if you want to get rid of compost and generate protein, that bug is actually a king instead of a pest. It's a king instead. It's like the livestock of the bug industry, because it has a resilient digestive system, immune system, and it's immune to, according to research, it's immune to pretty high doses of radiation. So you got to really respect this life form, and that's it. I'm not into killing it anymore. I'm inviting it to live in a new natural way of living clean, but utilizing ecosystem that we would live in, and it's not a cut-off ecosystem. Just don't freak out if you see one crawling around, because they're absolutely harmless and there's nothing about them that can harm a human being. As far as the research goes, you can look it up on your own. So that's one business that I would say, if we can get a team to do the research on that and how to get it started, get the pieces together to at least, all you'd have to do is utilize certain compost systems and then cross those compost management systems with bug farming systems. And then you put it together and it should produce tons of protein, tons of raw protein. So I can just see my chickens going crazy as I'm dumping out these bugs. Yeah. I'm not sure how I would sedate them. For a second I was thinking to spray them with whiskey. But we'll come up with humane, sanitized means of dealing with the whole farm. So we're gonna leave the bug production thing for compost, and then there's another bug production going, because we'll be farming flowers around the front side of the property and around the property. There'll be all sorts of flowers that we'll be farming, flowers for business purposes, multiple business purposes. We'll do the market research on that too. But on top of all of these flowers I'm talking about is, we gotta always keep in mind that this farm has to hire staff. We need to hire staff. There's jobs available for different business ventures that are taking place. So if we have a lot of flowers that we're going to be farming for multiple business purposes, then we're going to need beekeeper type staff or beekeeper type residents that live there with us. We'll have our own brand of honey and other bee products to come. And keep in mind, seeing that we would have the bird farm along with the worm farm and the fish farm, we would be able to produce, on top of the compost management too, we would be producing our own extremely fertile soil that we'll use for our own purposes on the farmland. But what can happen too is we might wind up cultivating extra fertile soil that we can also put our own name brand and put that on the market too, depending on what type of livestock we can have. If we can have small goats, and if I'm not sure if we're allowed to have them for the catch and cook cabins. It's all depending on what the research will come to show. So this is just a basic business plan, and we mentioned that stuff. So this is the bug part of the business plan. So it's a short one, because when it comes to dealing with bees, it's better that you get someone that specializes. Just like our mushroom farming, we'll have to look for staff and hire them, and look for people. You're interested to live with us? All right, work out a deal with them. So everyone gets a fair deal, and it's, as long as it's completely legal, that's exactly how we would want to do it. So if those first two bug ideas work out, like the flower and bee production for honey, flower farming and bee production, that's pretty practical. It doesn't need much, you don't need much research for that. But for the compost bugs, for the bug protein production, we might need a little bit of research for that to see how it would do on the market and where we would get it and what information we would be going off of, and then who might buy bug protein. If we produce a bug protein supplement or so, or if other farmers want to feed their chickens compost bugs as well. Once they find out the nutritional value, they might want to do that, especially for egg farming. So if we're farming chickens at the Akashique Agro Farms, obviously we'll have eggs. So if you have eggs, make sure your chickens have a good source of protein. And I already thought that all out with the compost bugs. Domesticated, very domesticated life forms. So I decided we stop fighting it and live with it and work with it as a team. And it should be lucrative. You should get just a lot of raw protein out of compost. And then, as I close off this little buggy business plan, I'd like to add, if it seems like those ideas will work out without too much effort, then we'll also consider silkworm farming, but that would only be providing if we had someone with experience and the knowledge of how to farm and manage silkworms. So, yeah. So this is the bug protein production business. business plan, and please get back to me on what you think and how we can do it or where we should start.